this afternoon, evidently it happened, in around noontime, I guess, in Utah.
12 o'clock their time.
Yeah. Charlie Kirk, I don't really know what to call him. He's a conservative, and I don't know if I can call him an activist, but he's a conservative talking head, I guess. He travels around from college to college defending this conservative
values.
Values.
Yes. So Charlie Kirk is a conservative activist. He started the Turning Point Action and Turning Point USA campaign, like to get conservative messaging across the college campuses to get the youth into more conservative actions.
Okay. So I mean, I think the term activist is broader. So I mean, I don't know. When I think of activists, I think of somebody who has, I guess his mission is to get that conservative. So that would be his activism.
Yes.
I don't know if it's fair to call him a provocateur. I think he might have started out that way, but he became a lot more broad-based in his coalition to encompass more people in it. And, his outreach to the youth of America, or the conservative youth of America, is very, very strong.
Yeah. Well, the problem with this, and we talked about it, what can bring a country together. But this, I think, is really going to show the far, far outs. And I think it's already showing the extremes from both sides, because what I've seen online and just on my feeds, my Republican friends are blaming all liberals for this, which is bullshit.
Of course.
And my far liberal friends are like, yeah, he's been asking for it, which is an absolute ridiculous statement to make. And if you're making those statements,
there's no place for that.
It's an embarrassment. And that's the reason I wanted the topic today to be about the First Amendment and freedom of speech. I didn't always agree with Charlie, but he always did do his homework. And if you fact checked him, he had a lot of the numbers down really well. He's a 31-year-old man with 2 children. He felt strongly about his beliefs, which is what we're supposed to be able to do safely in the United States. And it just really, doing what we do in the back and forth that we do, I don't know if it'll affect our responses, but it definitely has emotionally affected me since this happened. Okay, have I made someone that mad with my words that this could take me from my family? And to me, living in the United States, that should not ever be a question.
Correct.
So,
it's interesting to see what the president does. Because in national times of crisis, and I will put this as a national time of crisis because of the situation, the individual, where it happened, and the climate in the country now, the president is usually the person that tries to bring people together. And I'd like to believe that Trump has it in him. It remains to be seen, but I'm hoping that he becomes a unifier if he can, instead of a divider in this situation, because this right now, it's going to be up to him to try to calm people down and get us through this.
Yeah. And this particular situation, I'm hoping he puts his own ego away and he doesn't target other individuals and focuses on the heinous crime that's actually happened. Because this is, it's a crime.
This is going to be personal for him because he was very close with Charlie Kirk.
And without a doubt. Yeah. But it was a crime. It was not, don't blame the media for this person doing this action. Us not give him a scapegoat. This person should be, I am an eye for an eye guy and I'm a capital punishment guy, which, I know not everyone agrees with that. But I can tell you, this person, what he did, because he traumatized all those people that were there, everybody who's now seen it. I don't know. I kind of wish I hadn't.
That's what you're saying.
Watched
I haven't
it.
seen it yet.
Yeah, it was horrific. Like,
Yeah,
but
I kind of wish I watched it from the distance, and then I watched the closer up one, and I really wish I hadn't seen that. Because, I mean, here's a young man with a bright future, intelligent young man who could have done a lot of great things that's been snatched from our country. And you gotta believe it was because of his own political beliefs and the words he was saying.
You would think until they have the person who did it and get his motives.
Yeah. They do have him in custody.
Actually,
No,
no,
they don't.
They don't?
No,
Oh, that was a false.
Yeah.
So
they don't have anybody.
Here, so the university originally announced that the person that most people saw on Twitter, he was in custody, but however they announced that was not a suspect, and that person that was in the blue shirt, the old man in the blue shirt, was not the suspect. So they are looking for a different suspect.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, but they did say the person that did this act was in a campus building that was 200 yards away. They're unsure about what type of weapon was used or any of that sort. So they are looking for the
They'll
suspect.
be able to figure that out
Yes.
pretty easily.
Yes.
Once they get the bullet, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll be able to figure that out. When
And
they
let
do the
alone that
forensics on
Utah
it.
is a open and closed carry state, and on college campuses.
Yeah.
You can carry a gun in Utah on a college campus, open or concealed.
And
Concealed if you have a permit.
Yeah, and I can tell you I've had a gun within 5 feet of me most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, and there was always one in the back of the truck, and yes, there's still one there. Not once have I said I'm going to shoot that person. So
Right.
that opened and those carries, that's not the problem. The problem is still comes down to the mental capacity of the individual pulling the trigger. This is not a liberal thing. This is not a conservative thing. And everybody who's trying to make it that, you're wrong. And if you disagree with me, guess what? You're allowed to disagree with me. We're allowed to not have that same opinion. This was an individual who is now a criminal. They don't have a D and an R beside their name anymore. They're a criminal.
Right.
All right. They had to have, if you're pulling a trigger on someone you don't know, and we're assuming it's someone who didn't know him personally.
You'd like to believe that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm making that assumption. You have something mentally not clicking properly in you.
yeah.
And I can't, and I know they were talking about transgender. I know they were talking about different cultural groups and stuff like that. It doesn't matter at this point what his gender is. It doesn't matter her gender is. It doesn't matter what the culture is they come from. They are now a criminal and they're put in a different group. Like you're raising your hand.
No,
do you need to jump in?
No, I was stretching. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know we had to raise our hands to get called on this class.
Well, we can't really see
I
Blake
know.
behind the TV. So when he sticks his hand up like this, we can actually see his hand.
Well, you have your glasses on, so you can see that far away. Without my glasses on, I can't even
You
see
couldn't
it.
even see his hand?
No.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, but I definitely do hope the local, state, federal level look for this individual because it's.
Of course they will.
This is an all-out manhunt
Exactly,
or woman
yeah.
hunt. I mean,
100%. But my main concern is not like now basically it of course comes down to the president's response to this is saying like okay what like so how should the president respond
Right.
and what is he going to say afterwards like after like the day after like is probably going to be like the most important time for to see like what happens because like my main concern
and that's what Lenny was saying also. I mean his response is the most crucial component of does he create the divide or does he try and make this an actual, I mean, this is a human being's life. This is a father. This is a son.
Right.
This is somebody that we pretty much all know. You don't have to agree with him.
Right.
But if you don't feel some sadness for the country right now on what led up to this shooting, you're kind of missing the point of what we're trying to get across right now.
Right. And at this point in time, this is going to be a watershed moment for the president, the way he handles this one in particular, because if if he divides instead of unifies, then we're just going down a darker path, and it's not going to get any better. If he has an opportunity, which he does now, to try to bring people together, to try to mollify the situation, bad choice of words, I suppose.
Yeah, that's not right.
But to try to calm the situation as best he can, because you're going to have people on the right in particular going nuts, and you're going to have people on the left that are frightened.
No, they're already doing it online, and it's, you know, it's like, oh, if you're a liberal, just take me off your link, or if you're a Republican, just take me off your link. You guys are missing the point.
Right.
I mean,
you need to keep dialogue.
You need to keep that conversation going, and if you want to put your head in the ground and just walk away and turn your back on your fellow Americans, because they don't have to agree with you. There is no rule that says they have to think the exact same way you do. All right. No matter what that politician tells you, or no matter what your party might be telling you, that's not the way it's supposed to work. You're supposed to talk it out. You're supposed to. And if you disagree, then you disagree. But there's no reason to go to violence.
Right. And shake hands and carry on.
Because you have a different opinion.
Right.
That's what makes us strong. That's what makes us great. Is we're allowed to have those other opinions. And, you know, Charlie Kirk, you know, he was a guy who came into the conversation prepared. I mean, I saw him tear up a lot of young students that had made very good points where I was like, oh, okay. And then Charlie knew more about it than the kids that had probably been studied in it for weeks. So, I mean, he came into the conversation prepared. He never personally attacked the person that oftentimes attacked him.
See, that's a tremendously beneficial ability to not go ad hominem, not to attack the individual, but to attack the argument. Because so many people devolve into well, and we see it, I'm not even going to say them, but, you know, from the top down, you see that ad hominem attack all the time. And that's not beneficial either, because then it devolves. You know, you need to have the respect for the other person's opinion. And as you said, you don't have to agree with them, but you have to respect their opinion, their right to have that opinion, whether it's just, and if you don't listen to them, you may not learn anything, because, you know, you listen to somebody with an opposing viewpoint, and you may glean something that you didn't understand, or may take you in a different direction than what your preconceived notion is.
Yeah, and we do it all the time on this show. You and I don't always agree, and sometimes I get a little more theatrical than I probably should, because people think I'm bullying you, you know.
And I never do.
You never. Hopefully,
I never do.
You know. And actually, people thought Mike was bullying me at times, and you know, but that's not. It was to engage in that conversation, because I want to hear both sides of it. I probably don't always agree, because I think I'm right 98.3% of the time. And I think that's the way most confident people should feel.
Right.
But you still got that 3% out there that's floating out there. You need to kind of make sure you listen to all the facts. And I'm just, right now, I'm really sad for our country.
And a little bit frightened for what comes next.
And that's exactly it. I'm hoping that our president handles this in a compassionate and empathetic way, and not an attack. Now, should he go after the person that shot Charlie? 1,000%. And that person should be brought to justice, and that person should be penalized to whatever the crime will allow, the law will allow in the state of Utah.
Right.
And I don't know if they have corporal punishment or not.
Gary Gilmore.
Yeah. So
firing squad in Utah.
Okay. So it's
Pretty sure,
firing squad.
Yeah.
So you know, so I don't know how that is going to shake out. I think the fugitive that is now a fugitive and a criminal, you know, hope they catch the right person.
Right.
I hope they're not hasty about it. I hope it's, you know, very, very much able to be validated.
Right.
But there was 3,000 people there. They know exactly where it came from. Someone saw something.
Behind
Actually,
everybody,
a lot of people saw something.
Well, so, did they see that, or did they see what was in front of them? Unfortunately, because if he was 200 yards in back of them.
Yeah, but there was someone in that building. He had to leave that building. There was cameras in that building. Someone had to see him in that building.
All right. Well, it's a college campus. You'd expect.
College campus.
Sure.
You'd expect it to have, you know, security cameras in it. So, and unless was so crafty. I mean, and I think when you do a crime like this, you kind of expect to get caught. I would think
a lot of people do this.
Well, I would think a rational person, but a rational person wouldn't do this either.
Right. Well, my fear is vigilante justice because people are gonna react in such a strong way to this that if they get the wrong person and do harm to that person who may be innocent, that's not good.
Well, I mean, and we talked about it just the other day, Amanda and I, about the Atlanta bomber.
Okay.
Richard Jewell.
Right.
We know the guy who was innocent. Tell me the guy who actually set the bomb. Yeah. But you knew Richard Jewell.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's because everybody
the guy was innocent.
Him. Right.
The guy was innocent, but he was just basically us make sure we get the right person.
Right. Exactly.
And us make sure we get the story right. Let law enforcement do their job. Me to stay out of the way, and don't make assumptions. And I mean, it's just so important that we kind of listen to your neighbor, even if you don't agree with your neighbor.
Hear him out.
You don't need to say things like, I dropped 3 of my relatives because they're liberals.
Yeah, and I have friends who, I mean, one of my dearest friends, I half the time he does it just to provoke me, but he's a lot more conservative and to the right than I am. Mm-hmm. And this is one of my dearest and best friends, somebody I've known since the first day of college, so we're going on 45 years. And to this day, one of my dearest and closest friends, yet I have another friend of mine who I love dearly who will not speak to him because of his political leanings. And I just think that's absurd.
It's absurd.
It makes no sense.
I mean, unless they personally attacked you in some way, shape, or form.
No.
Which some people do that from the other side, and then you're like, okay, that's who they're going to be. I don't need to be associated with them anymore. But, so the big question was the First Amendment. Is the First Amendment safe right now? And I think Democrats were asking that question yesterday because of a lot of the actions that Trump has taken. Mm-hmm. Okay. And now today, I think Republicans are asking the exact same question.
Well, anybody who's a political speaker.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So, I think Democrats were like, Trump tries to put his thumb on the press, or Trump tries to put his thumb on the media.
The media, for sure.
So they were asking this question yesterday. And guess what you have in common now with Republicans? They're asking the same damn question now. Mm-hmm. So look at what you have in common. You're Americans. All of you are Americans. And you both want to know, is our freedom of speech and expression and press, is that really safe? And I don't have the answer to it.
You start seeing news organizations like CBS, which was, the Tiffany Network, doing things to, placate the president and go much more conservative because of some of the accusations that have been passed down, which are, really kind of frivolous accusations when it comes right down to it, because some of the things that happened on CBS happened on Fox. So nobody's above reproach there. Mm-hmm. It's the media.
No, it's
they've got deadlines. They've got editorial comment that they need to do, or editorial controls. They have timing issues. I don't think a lot of it was intentional. Some of it might be. There may be a bias to a lot of it, but not necessarily. So the problem is we jump ugly early and don't respect other people or their ability to have opinions that are different from your own. Mm-hmm. And that's what it needs to come down to. It needs to come down to respect. Respect the fact that somebody doesn't agree with you, and, shake hands, break bread, and carry on. And if you don't want to break bread with them, say thanks. I'm not interested in talking to you right now, but you don't need to be harsh, and you don't need to be violent by any stretch of the imagination. There's no excuse for that.
And this is the thing I really want to warn people against is, and Josh, and I saw some of the same things. This is the last straw. Republicans are saying this is the last straw.
To do what?
They're cutting out all liberals but you guys were the same ones that were bitching about the Democrats overreacting and calling the president a dictator. Okay, because they're allowed to have that voice. You're allowed to be angry. Republicans, you're allowed to be angry over this. Democrats were allowed to be angry over Trump winning. They're allowed to be angry, and they're allowed to have that voice. Do I agree with either side? Not all the time.
Right.
I float right there. But I mean, they're allowed. Both sides are allowed to have that voice. So don't try and steal. Don't try and do what you felt they were doing to you. That makes no sense. Yeah. So Blake, sorry to.
Yeah, sure. And plus it's more than a person than just what they have on their voter registration card. There's more what they have to like who they vote for president. I know like Josh was saying this is the last straw to deal with liberals. I'm a registered Democrat, but you work with me fine. We're co-workers during this. But there's more to the personality. There's more to the person than just what you believe in your politics, and that's unfortunate.
And I'm not saying I am clearly not flawless. No. Everyone who knows me knows most of my flaws. Like my skeleton.
He's still my foolish heart.
My skeletons are not in the closet. My skeletons dance on the street, and they're out there where everyone can see.
Like I said, my autobiography is my life is an open book. Yeah. I'm with you on that one for sure.
But the thing is you got to give other people grace for what they believe, what their religion is. I mean, you're no different. If you're doing this, you're no different than Catholics and Protestants 400 years ago.
Or today.
I mean, or the Palestinians and the Israelis. You already hate them because they have that identity. Mm-hmm. And that's not the way it's intended.
Right. Have a meal with somebody and see.
I'm not a religious guy, but I'm pretty sure there's not a religion out there that tells you to hate everybody. Yeah. All right. Everybody different. Right. You got to accept people for what they are. So,
all right. The big thing. All right, the big thing then is like, okay, so we're just super divided. Yeah. What is the big thing that's going to unite us? What is it going to be?
Well, hopefully, the president has a great opportunity to do that, but more importantly, I hope it doesn't devolve into, reciprocal violence on this. That's the thing that scares me almost the most right now.
And that's where my concern is at. Is everyone's allowed to have their voice. Charlie Kirk was allowed to have his voice. All right, and we can't blame all Democrats for one individual's actions. Was that person more than likely leaning in that direction? More than likely.
But we don't know.
But we don't know that.
Right.
We don't know the details of that. We don't know if he's personally we know none of that. But we're so quick as a society because everything's out there in the public to make judgment, to spew off things that you think are true,
right? Which
you're 100% allowed to do. But don't do it with hatred. Just don't do it with hatred. And that's the level. You understand what I'm trying to do is you're taking yourself to the level of that gunman or gunwoman because of something that person said, and you probably have zero personal interaction with that human being.
Right. We're going to go on the presumption that this was targeted at Charlie Kirk in particular because if it was somebody who was looking to make a mass shooting, they didn't. They
only took one shot.
Correct.
Yeah, it sounds like.
So there was a plethora of targets available, whether the person was hurried or wanted to get out of there or not. But until they get them and get a motivation, it looks like this was a targeted assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm. And it could be somebody because Charlie Kirk is close to the president. Mm-hmm. This could have been a shot on the president in less to do with Charlie Kirk. We don't know enough about it.
Right.
We just don't. I mean, I just know that the person that did this had hate in their heart, and that makes me sad no matter what the reason is, and they definitely had some mental issues that take you to this level. You randomly just don't do this. You just don't. So
yeah. No, there's no excuse for it. Mm. There's no rational reason for it. Let's put it that way, because this is completely an irrational act. Yeah. Murdering somebody for their viewpoint in particular, let alone any reason to murder somebody, is just as I was saying to Bobby earlier, it's just vile.
Yeah. No. There's everyone should, in our country, and this is going back to the original question. In our country, we made it the very first amendment for a reason, and we should be able to say what we think and still feel safe in our homes and on the streets. So I don't want it to. I think he happened to be talking about a transgender or something like that.
He was talking about
this was not a transgender issue. Even if that shooter is a transgender person, this still is not a transgender issue. That person's a criminal, and then whatever identity you want to put on them, feel free to do that, but do it without hatred and do it without bigotry. Because, we keep using the word prejudice, but it's probably more bigotry than prejudice.
Okay.
So I mean, just by the definitions of it, I think it's probably more that than bigotry, or bigotry than prejudice in this particular topic.
Or intolerance of others.